Yakety Mac.
Hey y'all, welcome to Yakety Mac. My name is Jeff. I appreciate you hanging out today. So we are finally getting around to doing a review of the Pelican Bass Raider 10E. And it is my goal to keep content at 10 minutes or less. Anything longer than that just kind of drags out and y'all lose interest. The problem is it is impossible to have a quality discussion about this boat in 10 minutes or less. So what I've decided to do, guys, is I've decided to break this up into 3 different videos, 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be my overall opinion of the Bass Raider, my likes and dislikes, and some things I think you should consider. Part 2 is going to be more in-depth, where I'm going to show you how I've set the boat up and why I've done what I've done in order to maximize efficiency and fun while out on the water. And then part 3, we're actually going to take this on the water, and I'm going to demonstrate some of its capabilities and, who knows, maybe catch a fish or two. So be sure at the end of this video to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you'll be notified when these videos drop. I'm going to try to post them all within 48 hours of one another, and all put together will be one comprehensive review, and you won't have to sit through a 30-minute video of me rambling on. So if you're ready to get started, I'm ready to get started. Let's go part 1. So let's kick this off and talk about specs real quick. The boat is 10 feet 2 inches long. It is 50 inches wide. It weighs 145 pounds, and the capacity is 600 pounds, and that is persons, motor, and gear. So that's a quick overview of the specs. I've had this boat for about 5 months now, and I love it, and there are 5 reasons why. Number 1 is stability. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you may know that I'm a non-swimmer, so stability is really important to me. And I find this boat to be extremely stable. I will stand up in it without hesitation at all. Part of what lends itself to that stability is the width, the pontoon style, and the foam in the hull really gives it some buoyancy. Now, keep in mind, things like your environment, how you set the boat up, and how you cared for the boat will affect its stability. But in general terms, under normal conditions, this boat is extremely stable. Number 2 is, I just told you that this boat is barely over 10 feet. My kayak is longer than that, but it feels and fishes much larger. And the reason is because the seats are way up above the deck. So there's nothing impeding your movement. There's nothing impeding your view. And of course, the 360 seats really help with that. So it feels and fishes much larger than it actually is. Number 3 may seem to contradict number 2, but it doesn't. I love the fact that it is compact. It makes it easy to store. It makes it easy to maneuver. There are some people that will just use a truck bed to load and unload this and take it to the water instead of a trailer. I'm not one of them, but there are many people that do it. It can be done. Also, its small size lends itself to, there's not a whole lot going on. It's very easy. It's very simplistic setup, and it's a very simplistic design. Number 4, it kind of piggybacks off of that a little bit, in that when I first started thinking about this boat, I was intimidated by the thought of maintaining and picking a trolling motor and using a trolling motor and what type of battery and doing all this research. But the fact that this is pre-wired to make it simple was really nice. You simply put a trolling motor on the front, got a plug right here, your wires to the battery are in the back. It's really a plug and play type system, and I love that aspect of this boat, and that comes in at number 4. Number 5, and probably in most people's minds is going to be number 1, is the value. I am all in on this boat for less than $2,000. I could have gone even a little cheaper than I've spent. I didn't have to buy the battery I bought. I certainly didn't have to buy the 55-pound thrust trolling motor. So I could have saved some money. I could have been all in on this for $1,700. And if you go with, this is the NXT version, which costs a little bit more. It's like $1,100 to $1,200 new. If you go with just a standard Bass Raider 10E, those are going for about $850 right now. So you could be all in and out on the water for $1,300 or $1,400, and that is an incredible value. So those are the 5 things that I love about the Pelican Bass Raider. Okay, so it's not all rainbows and butterflies with the Bass Raider 10E. There are a few things that I do not like about this boat. And number 1, sorry for the bug noise, guys. They're not cooperating with us today. The number 1 thing I do not like about this boat is this gunwale system right here. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. You have some shallow trays in here, some rectangles, some circles that I can only assume are meant to be cup holders. you're not putting a cup in that. The railing on the side of them is very shallow. There is no rod storage on these boats. So this is where everyone puts their fishing rods. I wish it would have been better thought out and designed for that purpose. And it really is kind of useless the way it is right now. I can't imagine anyone really using these areas at all. You do have a little bit of a deeper pocket right here. I guess you could throw some lures in or something, but yeah, this is just my least favorite thing about this boat for sure. Number two is the lack of any sort of scupper or drainage system inside the decking area here. I'm used to a kayak with scupper holes. Water gets in the boat, water drains out of the boat. Here, there's only a couple of ways to get water out if it gets inside this area, and that is to sponge it out or to tip the boat up on its side. So if you give it a nice good wash down and you get water in here, the only way to get it out is to tip it up and dump the water out. You get caught out into a rainstorm, you get some water in here, you're either going to sponge it out or you're going to pick it up and tip it out. That's going to make this thing heavy. It's already 145 pounds. So I do not like that. Now, look, I'm not an engineer by by any stretch of the imagination, so I can only assume that they haven't done anything like that for structural reasons. That's my assumption anyway, because it just makes too much sense to not do it for any other reason. So that's the number two thing I do not like about the boat. And then number three has not personally happened to me, but I want to bring it up because it's happened to quite a few people, and I think it's worth noting. And that is getting water into the hull of the boat. The consensus seems to be that it is coming in where the top half and the bottom half meet each other. You've got this seam that runs around the perimeter of the boat. The consensus seems to be that this is where water is getting into people's hulls. So before I ever put this on the water for the first time, I used some marine silicone and sealed this up because I didn't want this happening to me. And knock on wood, it has not happened yet. But it's not something that I wanted to deal with. I did list it as number three on my dislikes because it's always in the back of my mind. I'm always kind of concerned about getting water into the hull. And so there are drain plugs here on the front that if water gets in, you can drain it out. But again, 145 pounds. Now you put some water inside this hull and then you got to try to tip it up and drain it out. That's not going to be fun at all. So that is the number three thing that I do not like about this boat. Now, I do feel kind of bad for picking at it because we just discussed its incredible value at under 2 grand for, all in. But they are legitimate things that I do not like. And so I'm going to bring them up. So guys, that pretty much brings us to the end. I'm going to get out of here. These bugs are driving me crazy anyway. So remember to subscribe and hit that notification button. Also, do me a favor and hit the like button and share this video with your friends or your Facebook group or wherever it may be. So there's going to be part 2 and part 3 coming up here. You'll want to see those, so it brings the review kind of comprehensive, brings it all together. So I'm going to get out of here and get on with the rest of my day. You do the same. And as always, get outside and play.
Yakety Mac